So today I'm with Susan Scurlock, and Susan is the Chief Executive and founder of Primary Engineer, and she's also an MBE. So welcome, Susan. Great to meet you.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here. Thanks for asking me.
So tell us all about Primary Engineer then. What's it all about?
Well, I think all about it is about getting children from a very early age engaged with not only learning, but understanding that engineering is a career and a sector, I think, that is attractive for them. I think lots of children look at their kind of career pathways and, you know, historically it's always been about progression and salary. But I think children and young people today are looking for value in other ways. And engineering has never really been perceived as being that type of an industry or an occupation. But you see it more and more that children seem to see this as something that's doing good. And that's what we want to build on, is that doing good. So we take engineering into primary schools right the way across the UK.
I love that concept of doing good. How do you communicate that and get students to think it that way?
Well, I think over the years, so we started in 2005. We're, like I say, not for profit. We engage schools and companies. And one of the things we started with was training teachers how to deliver engineering in classrooms and to really embed projects into the curriculum. And then we looked at that breadth of engineering occupations and realized that how on earth do you tell kids about all these different types of engineering? So we came up with a project that was a competition where we asked children, if you were an engineer, what would you do? And it's been running for 10 years. It's open to children between the ages of 3 to 19. And they have to answer that question. They've got to interview an engineer, go and find a problem, draw a solution to it, annotate how it's going to work, and write a letter saying why an engineer should build it. The joy of it is the things that they see engineering as the solution of. So all these amazing things to help people, to help the planet, to help local people, to help each other, are all focused on an engineering solution. So from that, you can take away that children more and more are seeing that engineering isn't just a way of manufacturing, but it's a way of helping people. And that's one of the real interesting outcomes that we've seen of that particular project over the last 10 years.
What's that project called, Susan?
If you were an engineer, what would you do? It's the Leaders Award competition. And actually, my first ever plug, we've got a book coming out on the 7th of November. Wow. Of our 10 years of our favourite entries. So we're actually publishing a book this year. And we're having an event in London on the 7th of November too. So just let me backtrack a second. Some of the ideas that the children make, that come up with, our university partners and some of our industry partners build as prototypes. And they're beautiful and amazing. And they're so good that we approached the MacRobert Trust, who award the MacRobert Award for Innovation to engineering companies. And we asked them, can we have a medal that we can present to these university teams and industry teams that have made these prototypes? And of course, the child, the young person that came up with the original idea. So we're presenting our medals on the 7th of November as well. And one of the entries is the flat pack wind turbine for refugee camps, which was actually built by Glasgow Caledonian University, and received £170,000 from Innovate UK to be taken out to Kenya to be tested. So these ideas that young people come up with really do have a place in this wider world, and the innovation and the engineering that links to it is just extraordinary. So we're celebrating that.
Wow, and so you should.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what's the book called?
I think it's called If You Were an Engineer, What Would You Do?
All right.
Yeah, 10 years of the competition.
And that's been going for 10 years, right? Wow.
Yeah, so we've been going for 18. And this project came about when we first started to work in Scotland, and we came up with the idea of, wouldn't it be great if? and this is the outcome of that. So yeah, it's a lovely project, a lot of fun.
And it's clearly having an impact, because the landscape of engineering in education is changing. The perceptions are changing, aren't they?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think it's changed dramatically. There's a lot more awareness of it and openness from teachers to engage with engineers and finding where they fit within the curriculum. So we work with industries right the way across the UK, and our partners provide volunteers. Those volunteers we link to schools. And I think in the past, maybe in the early days, there was a bit of that, I don't really know why they're here, kind of attitude. But now it's a case of, what do you mean you've only got as one engineer? Can we not have 3 or 4? Because we've got other classes that want to do this as well. And that's become quite a significant change, I think, that there is that openness and attitude towards engineers being involved.
Brilliant, brilliant. So you're working with partners in education and in industry.
Yes.
And there are other organizations that do similar things to what you do. What would you say differentiates your approach and primary engineer?
I think one of the core things about us is that we're whole class based. So we're looking at everybody having the opportunity to engage with the project. So it's not a club, it's not an after school, it's not if you're one particular type of person that you're engaged on it. It's about everybody being involved. And the way that we've approached the idea of bringing engineering and manufacturing, I suppose, in the wider sense of it, to schools is through quite a variety of routes, so that we have qualifications that teachers can take. We have courses that teachers can get involved in, projects that children can access. So it's that, I think it's the multiplicity of routes that we've designed that provide everybody with a given track that they can find useful and informative and enhancing their skills. I think that's the main thing. It's about children being able to recognise engineering and the sector is a career pathway, but also for teachers to recognise what engineers look like as children, because I think that there is that difference about the inquisitive nature, the curiosity, and fostering that in children. I think that's hugely important.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously the business has been successful, and you've been recognised, not least with your MBE.
Yes.
And things are moving in the right direction. What are the challenges ahead?
I think challenges come from curriculum time and the pressures on teachers. I think that's our educational structure, I think, is still hugely challenging for the outcomes that we want to see for children and for wider UK PLC. I think that's the biggest challenge, is the education landscape. Yeah, that would be it for me.
And what influence might you have on that?
Well, I think when I first started, one of the challenges that kind of presented itself was, you can do on a small scale, or you can lobby on a small scale and try and grow both. The lobbying to make change, the doing to actually do it inside the school. And I chose the doing inside the school because I thought, long term, if this is successful, then I've got something I can say, look, this is proven. And that way you've got more voice when you come to lobbying. We're releasing reports this year. So we were gifted with UCLan, a PhD student, Rory MacDonald, who is now Dr. Rory MacDonald. And he's worked with us looking at engineering capital in children, where it exists in the school, how to measure that, how to develop it. So we'll be releasing a report on the 18th of January around engineering capital, its impact on children, where it can be found in schools, and what we should be doing. So those are the kind of the direction of travel, is to continue to do, but also to be able to highlight what impacts are going on from this. We've got to that stage now where we've got more information based on the large numbers that we're working with, to be able to say, you know, in our opinion, along with other people that have similar opinions, there should be changes.
And you've got a voice.
Yeah, I think there is that voice now. There is that voice, yeah.
Yeah, good. So what have you learnt along the way?
Keep your head down and keep going. It's been hard. I think taking engineering into schools as a serious business, as a serious premise, not as that's a nice thing to do. That's been something that's happened over the years, is that actually this is a very serious thing to do. And if we do it right, it's going to have significant ramifications for children and for industry. So I think being taken seriously was a big part of that. But I think, yeah, I mean, the challenges are as they are for everybody: recruiting people to come and work for you, finding new funders in new regions and places. All of those bits are challenges as much as they are for any organisation.
Yeah. And I'm going to take a risk now, Susan, and ask you, an engineer, a hypothetical question. Okay. I know you prefer facts, really.
I would, but I have to stop you now. I'm not an engineer. My dad wouldn't let me be an engineer. That's why I'm doing this.
Right.
Revenge.
Okay. Yes. Oh, well, you're winning. So yeah, if you could turn the clock back, knowing what you now know with the benefit of hindsight, what might you do differently?
It's an interesting question, because I think that even the mistakes that you make early on allow you to understand better where you end up. So sitting here now, the mistakes I made have made us a better organisation now, because we rectified them and we grew from them and we moved on. If you didn't make those mistakes, you wouldn't be where you are. So I wouldn't change the things I did wrong. I would just like to have known that it was going to be okay in the end. That would have been the bit, it's going to be okay. You just got to keep going. You just got to trust that it's going to be okay.
And that philosophy alone is a great learning as well.
Yeah, well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Susan. Really appreciate that.
Pleasure.
That was ace. Thank you.
Thank you.